The morning in Greenwich began with its usual tranquility, the kind of stillness only an old money neighborhood could hold. Sunlight streamed in through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Morrison home, painting golden streaks across the polished oak floors. Katherine Morrison moved about the kitchen with graceful precision, the aroma of fresh coffee and maple syrup filling the air. On the table sat a perfectly arranged breakfast, golden French toast dusted with powdered sugar, drizzled with rich Vermont maple syrup, organic yogurt crowned with plump seasonal berries, and coffee freshly ground that morning, its fragrance warm and earthy. These Sunday breakfasts had become ritual, a quiet anchor in her 10-year marriage. "David, coffee's ready," Katherine called gently. Moments later, David descended the stairs. His appearance, as always, carried the polished air of a man admired both at work and in society. Dressed in a Brooks Brothers cashmere sweater, his every step seemed deliberate, his every gesture that of a man used to being respected. "Thank you, Kat," he said, kissing her cheek before settling into his usual seat. From the dining room window, the Greenwich streetscape looked like a painting, shrouded in a thin morning mist. Later that evening, her family would gather for dinner. It was tradition. Her sister April, and their parents, George and Mary Parker, would join after Sunday service. Katherine always took care to prepare meals that reflected both love and pride. Tonight's menu would be a pork roast, roasted root vegetables, and a dessert she knew April adored. David smiled at her words. "Your cooking is always the best." After breakfast, he retreated to his study, leaving Katherine to clean and begin preparations. She watched his back as he left, her expression serene, though her heart carried a faint unease she couldn't quite name. The changes began subtly, creeping into her life like a slow poison. At first, it was David's schedule. He came home later and later, always muttering about a new Asia-Pacific project that required odd hours. She often caught him sitting in his study late into the night, his face lit by the pale glow of a computer monitor. His brows were furrowed, his expression distant. When she asked, "Are you all right?" his response was always the same, just time zone differences. The warmth in his voice, the habitual, "You should get some rest too," was gone. Then came the watch. A gleaming Patek Philippe appeared on his wrist, out of place for a man who never cared for luxury timepieces. He explained it away as a client's gift, but Katherine noticed how he adjusted it proudly, like a man aware of being seen. The closet slowly transformed as well. Gone were the traditional suits he had worn for years. In their place, Tom Ford, Saint Laurent, Dior, sleek, modern styles belonging to a younger man, a man trying to impress someone new. He began going to the gym, replacing his beloved weekend golf games with cardio and protein shakes. His cologne changed too, no longer the classic subtle notes she once loved, but bold, sensual fragrances. Sometimes, faint smudges of foundation lingered on his collar after meetings. Each change whispered of someone else. April, too, began shifting. At first, it was her sudden absence from family dinners. Messages arrived last minute, an important brand event, or emergency influencer meeting. But Katherine noticed the silence on April's Instagram those nights. No glamorous photos, no event coverage. Her carefully crafted influencer image was fading. Fewer luxury posts, fewer smiling brand campaigns. Instead, occasional staged family photos with their parents, images that carried a stiffness, almost like placeholders. "Mom and Dad haven't been feeling well," April said one day when asked, eyes avoiding Katherine's. "I just want to spend more time at home." Yet when Katherine visited, her parents looked healthier than ever, almost glowing. Their home, the stately Parker mansion, brimmed with life. George still sang proudly in the church choir, his baritone echoing across the pews. Mary continued organizing charity luncheons with the same fervor as always. Nothing seemed amiss, except the subtle guilt flickering in their eyes whenever April's name came up. Katherine noticed something else. Her sister's lavish lifestyle had not slowed. Cartier receipts, Hermes bags, Tiffany boxes, it was all there. But now paired with declining social media numbers, sponsorships were drying up. Behind the facade, April was drowning. And Katherine suspected her parents were holding her up. Then came the turning point. David announced a 2-week business trip. "It's for a new project launch in Hawaii," he explained. His usual practicality was gone. Instead, he packed a brand new Louis Vuitton suitcase. Katherine noticed the colorful Aloha shirt tucked neatly inside, a strange choice for a man who detested casual fashion. "Don't worry, I'll be back soon." His voice was unusually polite, his smile strangely bright, almost guilty. That same day, April sent Katherine a text. "I'll be busy for a while. There's a new business opportunity. Mom and Dad are going to help too." Katherine stared at the words, her pulse quickening. A business trip. A new opportunity. Her parents' involvement. Threads began weaving together in her mind, an ominous pattern she could no longer ignore. That night, she dug deeper than ever before. April's main Instagram offered little, but then Katherine stumbled upon it, a hidden backup account with only a handful of followers. Her breath caught. There they were. Photos at the Moana Surfrider Resort in Honolulu, lavish breakfasts overlooking Waikiki, sunset dinners at La Mer, wine glasses raised in toasts, her parents smiling comfortably in the tropical sun, April laughing, radiant. And David, her husband, walking beside April, holding her hand, gazing at her with the intimacy of a lover. Katherine's hands trembled as she scrolled. Each photo felt like a knife. The people she trusted most, her family, her blood, parading their betrayal under the Hawaiian sky. With a cold fury settling in her chest, she checked her financial accounts. Her jaw clenched when she saw it. First-class tickets for 4, charged to her card. Luxury hotel confirmations, paid from her funds. Years of accumulated airline miles, drained without her consent. They hadn't just betrayed her heart. They had used her resources to fund their deception. Katherine shut the laptop with a decisive click. Outside, the sky had darkened. Dusk draped itself over Greenwich like a mourning veil. She rose calmly, as though every detail of her life had not just crumbled. Walking to the closet, she pulled out a sleek suitcase. Into it went only the essentials, one tailored suit, her identification documents, and a carefully organized binder of evidence, bank records, photographs, statements, each page a piece of the puzzle she had been slowly but unknowingly assembling. Her face no longer bore traces of shock or grief. Instead, there was only silence, resolve, and the steel of a woman who understood what must come next. Sitting on the edge of her bed, she opened the airline app and matched her reservation to the exact return flight her family had booked. Her lips curved into a whisper, soft yet chilling. "I'll be the one to welcome you home." Accounts were moved with precision. What had once been joint holdings between husband and wife were now carefully divided. Stripped of David Morrison's name, investment portfolios were quietly shifted beyond his reach, and new accounts opened discreetly under Katherine's control. Confirming the property rights to the Greenwich home became a matter of urgency. Sterling, her attorney, reviewed the deeds meticulously. "This house was inherited from your grandfather," he explained. "That makes it premarital property. It cannot be touched." Katherine nodded silently. She had grown up within those walls. Her grandfather's legacy would not be tainted by betrayal. "Prepare to freeze all credit cards," Sterling added in a firm tone. "But for maximum impact, we wait until the very last moment. Timing will be everything." The gathering of evidence became a full-scale operation. Sterling's team of IT specialists worked like surgeons, methodical, precise, unrelenting. Emails were duplicated and archived, text messages copied, social media backups created in formats that could withstand any legal scrutiny. Every location ping, every travel record, every digital trace was preserved. "Mrs. Morrison," Sterling's assistant announced one morning, sliding a heavy file across the polished mahogany table. "This comes directly from Harrison Global's accounting department." Katherine opened it, her pulse steady, her expression unreadable. Inside were pages of falsified claims, lavish dinners listed as business meetings, flights to luxury resorts disguised as corporate travel, and personal shopping cataloged as client entertainment. The total fraud exceeded 6 figures. "We've also uncovered April Parker's financial profile," an IT specialist reported, scrolling through data on a monitor. "Her debts exceed $5 million. The collapse of her social media influence has cut her income drastically. Sponsorships are declining at an alarming rate." Katherine leaned closer. The numbers confirmed what she already suspected. Her sister's glamorous facade was crumbling. Follower counts dropped daily. Luxury brands were discreetly severing ties. Behind the glitter of Instagram, April was suffocating under the weight of her own excess. "And what of my parents?" Katherine asked quietly, though her voice carried a sharp edge. The team hesitated. Then Sterling answered, "Their financial situation is deteriorating. The Greenwich mansion has multiple liens against it. Country club fees are in arrears. Their once generous donations to the church have abruptly ceased." Katherine closed her eyes briefly. So even her parents, pillars of the community, had chosen vanity over integrity. "Perfect preparation requires allies," Sterling reminded her. And so, allies were gathered. First, Harrison Global's CEO, Thomas Hamilton, received Katherine in his corner office overlooking Manhattan. His expression was grim. "Mrs. Morrison, I understand completely. David Morrison's misconduct jeopardizes not only you, but the company itself. Compliance will act swiftly." Next was HR Director Janet Smith. "His promotion is frozen," she declared. "The disciplinary committee has been assembled. We will not allow his behavior to stain this firm." Key clients from the Asia-Pacific sector, many of whom had worked with Katherine personally, were quietly informed. Their response was unwavering. "We stand with you," they assured her. "Our contracts will reflect our loyalty." April's world of luxury branding was also carefully dismantled. A Chanel executive spoke coldly. "Her association damages our image. We will terminate immediately." Gucci and Hermes representatives echoed the same, waving signed termination notices. The advertising agency director sighed as he shut his tablet. "We were already preparing her replacement." The ripples extended to the church and social community. Pastor Jonathan Williams delivered the hardest blow with quiet sorrow. "Mr. and Mrs. Parker's actions contradict our values. The church committee has no choice but to expel them from leadership." Even the Greenwich Country Club, the symbol of their social prestige, moved in unison. "Membership withdrawal is unanimous," came the decision. Finally came the media strategy. Sterling placed carefully selected photographs onto the table. "These will be distributed only to trusted local reporters," he said. "No sensationalism, just facts. Enough to deliver the ultimate sanction in upper society, public disgrace." The last stage was the airport confrontation. Every detail was choreographed: security coordination, screen installations, the exact positioning of each witness. Nothing was left to chance. 72 hours before their return flight, Sterling asked one last time, "Madam, are you certain this is the method you want?" Katherine stood by the window, watching the city swallowed by the glow of Manhattan's twilight. "Yes," she whispered, "this is how betrayal must be repaid." The airport confrontation. On the day of reckoning, Katherine arrived at the terminal in a tailored white Alexander McQueen suit. Her makeup was flawless, her posture regal. In her hand she carried a bouquet of blood-red roses, the same roses she had carried at her wedding a decade ago, now twisted into a symbol of poetic justice. The arrival lobby was filled with spectators positioned with purpose. To the left, Harrison Global executives. CEO Thomas Hamilton stood tall, arms crossed. Sales Director James Walker murmured with 3 major clients from the Asia-Pacific region. HR Director Janet Smith clutched disciplinary dismissal documents. To the right, luxury brand representatives, Chanel, Gucci, Hermes, each holding folders marked termination of contract. The advertising agency's creative director flicked through photos of a new campaign model, as though April had already been erased. Behind them, the community. Pastor Williams stood with church committee members, their faces heavy with grief. Members of the Greenwich Country Club whispered among themselves, some visibly ashamed to witness the downfall of neighbors they once admired. "Everything is ready," Sterling murmured at Katherine's side. The intercom chimed. "Flight HA 382 has arrived." Katherine's grip tightened on the bouquet. She lifted her chin. The automatic doors slid open, and laughter spilled into the hall. April appeared first, radiant in a designer dress, a brand new Hermes Birkin dangling from her arm. "It was a wonderful vacation," she declared. Mary Parker followed, arms full of glossy shopping bags. "We must go again next month," she said cheerfully. George trailed with a golf bag slung over his shoulder. Next time, perhaps another resort. Finally, David emerged. A fresh Patek Philippe glinted on his wrist, his face glowing with satisfaction. They looked like royalty returning from a coronation, until their eyes met Catherine's. Their smiles collapsed. April's hand froze on her bag. David turned ghostly pale. Mary and George stopped in their tracks. Katherine stepped forward, her voice like steel. "Welcome back, everyone." Behind her, the massive monitor lit up. "Shall we begin with the timeline?" The screen flickered to life, showing grainy footage of David and April at last year's Christmas party, slipping into a corner together, whispering when they thought no one was watching. December 24th, Katherine narrated, her tone ice, "While I was delayed at work." Next appeared hotel security footage, David and April, checking in separately, then dining by candlelight, images too damning to deny. Catherine's gaze shifted to her sister. "April, $5 million in debt. Is that why you reached for him? Because your contracts were expiring, and you needed a lifeline?" The monitor flashed with debt records, rejected loan applications, plunging follower graphs. April's color drained. "David," Katherine continued, her eyes piercing him, "was this about the promotion? Or were you simply desperate to feel young again?" The fraudulent expense reports filled the screen. Luxury hotels, shopping trips, all disguised as company business. David staggered, sweat glistening on his forehead. Finally, Katherine turned to her parents. "And you, my own blood, why did you protect them? Did you truly mean to destroy me so completely?" The room erupted in motion. CEO Hamilton stepped forward, voice sharp. "David Morrison, you are dismissed, effective immediately." The Asia-Pacific clients added coldly, "Our contracts are terminated." Janet Smith thrust forward the HR documents, disciplinary dismissal, with no retirement benefits. Luxury brand representatives spoke in unison, "All contracts with April Parker are cancelled, effective today." Pastor Williams's voice trembled. "George, Mary, the church committee has voted. Your expulsion is final." The country club spokesperson followed with finality, "Membership revoked." Guests filled the hall. Cameras flashed. The family who had once ruled Greenwich society was dismantled in minutes. David collapsed to his knees, his face ashen. April clutched her bag as though it might save her, sobbing uncontrollably. Their parents stood stunned, stripped of every title, every privilege. Katherine let the bouquet slip from her hand. The roses tumbled, scattering across the polished airport floor like drops of blood. She turned, her white suit glowing under the fluorescent lights, every step measured, powerful. "This," she whispered as the cameras caught her final words, "is the price of betrayal." And she walked away, leaving behind only shattered lives and scattered rose petals.